Things work out in good ways, man. I didn't record on Sunday afternoon for part 3. Money in the Bank happened on Sunday. I didn't want to put something out on Monday to take away from how that video was doing, and I decided to wait for Monday Night Raw for my next upload, and then I saved part 3 for a very rare Tuesday. I'm glad I waited because then I get to talk about what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to try and remain calm because this is one of the things that pisses me off when it comes to professional wrestling. And I don't want to yell like a psychopath because if I do, I'm not going to have enough energy for what I'm assuming to be will be another useless Monday Night Raw. The city of Chicago was given Money in the Bank and NXT Takeover, respectively, emanating out of the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. NXT Takeover is one of the best shows of the year. Money in the Bank, when it boils down to it, it was a thumbs-up show, but it wasn't anything with a very enthusiastic feel behind it. The one thing that stuck out about Money in the Bank after all was said and done was one tweet from Charles Robinson, senior WWE official who officiated Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal at Money in the Bank on Sunday night. What he said is one of the very few things in this business that pisses me off. The other thing that pisses me off is what happened with Asuka. Not just Asuka. You could have put any babyface in her position on Sunday night. That shit pisses me off. Making your babyfaces look like fucking stooges. Idiots. And WWE continues to book all of their babyfaces in the same way. It's sad, it's depressing, it's pathetic, it's lame. And all these years, they haven't figured out a remedy to make babyfaces look not stupid. Asuka is trash. Coming from NXT, did you ever think that those words would be uttered from my mouth? WWE has made her that way. This is the other thing that pisses me off. Chicago got Money in the Bank and NXT TakeOver, and it was a great atmosphere. Saturday night especially. That's my type of crowd. Those are my type of people. They loved every single aspect of that show. Same cannot be said about Sunday night. But this is where WWE wants to point blame. WWE wants to point blame on Chicago on Sunday night for being disrespectful. And I ask you, what was so disrespectful about what Chicago did on Sunday night? And I'm going to break it down the best way that I can in the most calm demeanor that I possibly fucking can give you right now. Because I feel the anger in me about this certain topic. Chance of NXT, CM Punk, this is awful. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Johnny Wrestling. Let's go Beach Ball. Ole, ole, ole. Delete, delete, delete. There were even chants for Velveteen Dream. Charles Robinson officiated Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal. He goes on Twitter and says, and I quote, "For a great town that Chicago is for wrestling, one of the best ever, it is really disappointing that they can be so disrespectful when guys like Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns are busting their ass and giving us a great match." Robinson later added, "Not really the talent's fault on how they're booked. Last I heard, they don't book themselves. Just trying to make the best of the situation that they are put in. Just talking about the level of effort the talent puts into it." End quote. I want you guys to picture WWE being your favorite sports team. It could be MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL, soccer. Has anybody ever booed someone on your favorite sports team? More than likely, the answer is yes. More than likely, the answer is yes. I'm going to use the Yankees as an example because they're most universally known. I mean, I could use the Mark Wohler situation in the 1996 World Series. I mean, I would have fired him after he gave up that home run to Jim Leyritz. I would have fired him there. I'm going to use the Yankees as examples here. I don't recall what year it was, but when A-Rod was having, or say for example, A-Rod was having a great year for the Yankees. And then he somehow takes the Yankees into the playoffs, and then the leader of the team goes 0 for 20. Goes 0 for 20 in a Game 5, and they get ousted from the first round. Are you not going to boo him? Are you not going to just lash out on A-Rod for choking when the time was for him to step up to the plate and really lead this team? Or are you going to sit there and be like, yeah, great job, we'll get them next year? You expect a New Yorker to be like, yeah, man, great job, we'll get them next year, don't worry about it, I'm going with the Red Sox. My allegiance now is with Boston. You want the Chicago to just miraculously just say, yeah, you know what, let's embrace Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns. We'll give them a shot. We'll give them a shot. See, the difference is, with Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal, we've already given them a shot. And for the people who want to use the argument, well, Chicago shit on the match before the bell even rang, they didn't even give Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal a real shot or a real chance. Where the fuck have you been for 4 years? Have you been living under a fucking rock? Have you been living in a fucking cave somewhere? Where have you been living? We haven't given them a chance. I've given 4 years of my life to this company, watching this show on a weekly basis for the last 4 years. Watching them give Roman Reigns every single opportunity and fail at it. And then I'm laughing because nobody believes me. And it happens every single time. You want me to give Jinder Mahal a chance? What, 6 months as WWE champion? Watching this guy fumble and fail along SmackDown Live in 2017 wasn't enough of a chance? The guy single-handedly killed SmackDown Live the entire year. He single-handedly made that show completely unwatchable in one of the worst modern WWE title reigns in history. And you want me to give him a chance? You see, what people don't understand is that Roman Reigns and everything that revolves around Roman Reigns is politically driven. It's politically driven. They are putting him at the forefront, and they're putting him in situations in hopes that you have a change of heart. And they're going to continue to do that because they want him to be over so desperately, and every time we don't give them what they want, they're going to do it more and more and more and more. They are ignorant to the fact that Roman Reigns is not over. Roman Reigns is not over. And they continue to give you somebody that nobody wants to accept. And now all of a sudden, Charles Robinson is upset as to why the fans want to be disrespectful to Roman Reigns. The fans aren't stupid, Mr. Robinson. The fans are not stupid. The WWE is our sports team. The WWE has put players on the field that they don't want. The Chicago fans don't want them. They do want to accept, but they're in the wrong position. Those people sat in unair-conditioned environments. They paid money to sit at Money in the Bank in that arena. God knows how much money they paid for condiments and refreshments and fucking food and all this other shit, merchandise. Yet WWE has the balls to send someone out to the front line to criticize why Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal were booed and disrespected? How come nobody came out and said, well, Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley were disrespected? They received even worse treatment, if you want to look at it. I have always been for the fan. I've always been for the fan. WWE has this thing where you have to say and abide by their rules when you enter their building to watch their show. What type of mentality is that for a wrestling show? I would never, ever, ever come on social media and question why the fans were disrespectful to a certain superstar. Ever. Did they throw batteries in the ring? Did they throw trash in the ring? Did somebody try and hop the barricade and try to injure one of the superstars? None of that happened. Yet Chicago is a disrespectful city. Why? Because we are a great wrestling fan base who wants to see a certain something happen and you just continue to not listen to us? Because we see right through your bullshit? We have to sit there and just like it and accept it with no fucking backlash whatsoever? What happened to the fucking Special Olympics kid that was sitting at ringside? Nobody makes a mention of that. We're so disrespectful in Chicago, though, right? Meanwhile, that kid stood up, beautiful video package with the Big Show, got a standing ovation. People made him feel like a fucking hero. That's a moment that kid will never forget in his entire life. Nobody wants to make mention of that, though, but Chicago is disrespectful. Chicago is a disrespectful city because we didn't give Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns the respect that they deserve. Maybe if you didn't put on straight garbage, maybe we wouldn't have a reason to shit all over it, Mr. Robinson. Go back and watch NXT Takeover. Was there one CM Punk chant in the crowd? This is a serious question. I want you guys to think back and recall. Did you hear one CM Punk chant during that entire 2.5 hour event? You did not hear one CM Punk chant during the entirety of NXT Takeover. There was a beach ball thrown at Takeover. A fan in attendance took the beach ball and destroyed the beach ball to a standing ovation. Do you want to know why fans on Saturday night were different than the fans on Sunday night? It's because the people behind the product on Saturday night appreciate the fans. They gave the fans 2.5 hours of compelling television that did not insult our intelligence, with people and individuals in place that we genuinely care for. On Sunday night, it was another 4 years of Roman Reigns and a 6-month title reign from Jinder Mahal that the fans collectively thought about and said, fuck this shit. We're tired of it. We don't want it anymore. We're going to let you know exactly how we feel in hopes that you change and listen to us because we are the heartbeat of this business. There's no issue with that. If you are a content creator, if you are a blog, a website, a dirt sheet, a podcast, anybody in this industry that had an issue with what Chicago did during Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal match on Sunday night, you are the direct reason why this business and the fan base and the community is a cancer. They sat there in unair-conditioned environments. They have every fucking right to sit there and chant what they want, when they want, as long as they are within the bounds of following the rules. They didn't break any rules. Nobody jumped the barricade. Nobody assaulted a fucking wrestler. Nobody threw shit in the ring. They have every fucking right to have fun at a wrestling show. They have every fucking right to cheer for when something is good and shit all over something when they know it is not right, good, or acceptable. It had nothing to do with what Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal did in the ring. Absolutely nothing. You can go on and on and on about how Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal had a great match and that they disrespected the work that put into the match, or the work that went into the match, and the work and the effort that Roman and Jinder did in that ring to give them a show. It had nothing to do with anything that happened in the 12 minutes that match went. Nothing. It had everything to do with WWE not listening to their audience over the last 4 years, over Jinder Mahal and his 6-month reign of terror on SmackDown Live, and the politically driven garbage that is Roman Reigns every single opportunity WWE sees fit. Open your eyes. Roman is going to get reactions like this everywhere he goes because he is not wanted. He is a player on the field playing a wrong position. And until WWE realizes that, this will continue. Would it have been acceptable if Roman was a heel? Probably. Did Triple H come out and say he was disrespected by the Chicago crowd when Chicago went off the air for TakeOver? And the last thing you seen was Ciampa smiling to chants of, "Fuck you, Ciampa"? Maybe Roman Reigns needs to take a lesson from Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe we wouldn't be put in this position with Charles Robinson making a fucking fool out of himself on social media. It had nothing to do with what happened in the ring. It had everything to do with WWE's politically charged agenda with Roman Reigns. Everything that WWE has done with Roman Reigns is politically driven. Everything. The matches with Lesnar. The angle that they're trying to spin and web for you to believe in. That management is holding him down. The bullshit that they had him say during WrestleMania season, building to his match with Brock Lesnar, that Lesnar is Vince McMahon's boy. Insinuating that Roman is not, but Lesnar is. The fact that they did these 2 matches and they're going to give you another one at SummerSlam. The fact that they put him with Seth Rollins and teamed him up with Seth Rollins on Monday night because Seth Rollins is the hottest superstar in the entire company right now, and they're looking to feed Roman Reigns some of that momentum that Rollins has built all for himself because Roman can't do it himself. And the move with Jinder Mahal on Sunday night, the fans are not stupid to see that Jinder is a heel and a hated heel for all the wrong reasons. Jinder is not a heel that people look at like Tommaso Ciampa. Jinder is a heel that people genuinely don't want to see, period. Because of him being so terrible at what he does. So WWE doesn't see that. They think that Jinder is a great heel, and the fans can't boo Roman Reigns if they're going up against somebody who is just as hated as he is. Maybe it would have an adverse effect on Roman Reigns, and he would get cheered in Chicago. Chicago's not stupid. The fans are not stupid. Charles Robinson was the only one who made himself look stupid. If anything I said here you have an issue with, I don't really give a shit. Everything that I said has too much validity behind it. WWE is a sports team, and they're putting players on the field. Some are in the right position, some are in the wrong position. We are the audience that's watching that team play each and every single week. If we don't like something, you have every right to voice your fucking opinion. Every single right to voice your opinion. As long as you are within the boundaries of following the rules of the venue and you do not hurt said performer in the ring. CM Punk, this is awful. Beat the traffic. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Johnny Wrestling. Velveteen Dream. Let's go Beach Ball. Delete, delete, delete. Maybe WWE should start to embrace the change in the world of professional wrestling instead of trying to subdue everything that is coming in from the outside. You know, WWE is like that strict parent who doesn't want you to have any fun. They want to tell you what to chant, when to chant it. They even take away the announcers doing that pause so that the fans don't do one fall. When has wrestling in WWE become so unfun? Why has it become so unfun? It's because the people that are in charge of this company don't really love professional wrestling. Meanwhile, everybody that's watching and waiting and hoping loves professional wrestling. Chicago, I love you, man. I can't wait to see you guys in September. I can't wait to see you for All In. I hope you are fucking beautiful. and as loud as could ever be in September for All In. I want to have a good time. You guys had a good time on Sunday night. I don't blame anybody for doing or saying what you said, especially in the conditions in which I was told you had to sit in a non-air conditioned venue. Just look at Saturday night compared to Sunday night. We got what we wanted on Saturday night. We didn't get what we wanted on Sunday night. And the fans let you know what they don't want. In a world where we are so outspoken nowadays, when has expressing oneself and expressing one's dislikes ever been a bad thing? Maybe WWE should listen to the fucking fans and realize that change is necessary. If they continue down the same path that they're going, you can make all the money in the fucking world. There will always be somebody waiting to criticize the bullshit that you do. You can't hide behind your money all the time. You're eventually going to have to take that money and make some change. You ain't changing Chicago. You ain't changing New York. You ain't changing Miami. You ain't changing Los Angeles. You ain't changing Philadelphia. Anytime you run into these big fucking cities that are that, you know, you're going to get the same fucking expression, freedom of expression in those cities. This isn't bumblefuck fucking Wisconsin. You want bumblefuck Wisconsin? Then hold your fucking money in the bank pay-per-view there. Charles Robinson is a fucking clown. I'm embarrassed that I had to see that on social media, and he deserves to be blasted by the fans for his fucking sheer stupidity and corporate outlook. Doesn't have anything to do with what happened in the ring. It has everything to do with what the WWE is presenting. Maybe next time you won't present fucking garbage. This is Off the Script. This is episode 226, part 3, on your Tuesday afternoon. You guys want news? I got it. You guys want fallout from Money in the Bank? I got it. You guys want an unboxing from Pro Wrestling Tees? I got it. This is episode 226, part number 3 of Off the Script. Off this shitty fucking product by coming on here and speaking the fucking goddamn truth about this fucking filth. And I can book a better show taking a fucking dump after eating my fucking Chipotle chorizo with extra cheese. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Have I ever? Of course not. WWE is great, man. Fuck you, Japan, and Kenny Omega, Okada. Johnny! What is it, man? Can I suck your dick? What is it, man? And this is the #1 fucking podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Off the Script. Man, do we got a lot of news on a rare edition of Off the Script on a Tuesday, man. And this is a full-blown episode of Off the Script. This ain't no extra, man. You ain't getting no 20 minutes here. You're getting your full hour plus. I got a lot of news to go over, man. I got news on a new expansion of NXT that I'm fucking thrilled for, man. I can't wait. Paige assaulted by a fan after Money in the Bank. I also got last-minute changes that, of course, Vince McMahon made right before Sunday's pay-per-view. I got news on Jonathan Coachman showing why he is one of the biggest shills in WWE. I also have news on Dean Ambrose making a return to WWE. How close is the Lunatic Fringe to returning? I also got news on WWE 2K19. As you guys know, unless you are living in a fucking cave, who the superstar is to grace the cover of WWE 2K19. Plus so much more. Got news on Madison Square Garden and WWE's relationship with them falling through the cracks, just melting away as the summer heat rolls on. I got a ton of news, man. We're going to go over everything today right here on Off the Script, episode 226, part number 3. If you guys missed anything that I did this weekend, man, if you guys missed parts 1 and 2, If you guys missed NXT TakeOver Chicago review, Money in the Bank review, Monday Night Raw review for the fallout of Money in the Bank, everything you need is on the channel right now. Make sure you guys go and check that stuff out as soon as you are done here. Follow me on social media, on Twitter, at JDFROMNY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for notifications. Thank you to all the new people that subscribed for Money in the Bank and have stayed. Thank you guys so very much. We do this wrestling thing weekly, so you're going to be very happy with what you get right here on the channel. No bullshit. I'm going right into the unboxing, and we're going to hit the news, man. I ain't wasting any time. You guys know the deal. Audible. You guys know Patreon. You guys know Barbershop Window. Do it. It's down in the description of the video. I don't need to tell you. I want to get right to the news on this Tuesday, man. But before I do that, I had this waiting outside my door on Monday afternoon. I'm like, why the fuck not? Let's open it up. It's fucking heavy. Let's unbox it. Pro Wrestling Crate. This is officially sponsored merchandise from Pro Wrestling Tees. So what you guys are going to do, very important to listen to me right here. If you enjoy or like anything that you see in this box, you're going to go to ProWrestlingCrate.com. You're going to fill out whatever subscription you want for your monthly business. You're going to enter the coupon code off the script, and you're going to get 20% off your first subscription. Let's do it, man. Pro Wrestling Crate is some of my most favorite unboxings outside of that wrestling club during the month. And they always have some great shit in here, man. Always. So this is Ladies of Wrestling. Now, next month, you're going to get Heels Part 2. And I love me a good heel, man. But this one here, this crate, we're going to be unboxing Ladies of Wrestling. Maybe there's some Toni Storm merchandise in here, man. I'd love to sport me some Toni Storm merchandise. What we got here? Amy Dumas. Look at that, man. I like the color of that. I like that a lot. That's fucking sick, man. Love it, love it, love it. ProWrestlingCrate.com. Got some Amy Dumas Lita merchandise here in the unboxing. What do we got here, man? Black and yellow. Rosemary. Look at that. Join the, what does this say? Join the Hive. So we got a Rosemary shirt here. One of the better females in Impact Wrestling. And someone that I think would play the role of a Sister Abigail quite brilliantly if WWE wanted to pick her up in the future and wanted to do something with that character down the line. Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, playing cards, man. Look at that. So when I go over to hang out with my buddy Sean in Atlantic City, I'll bring the cards down and we can play some Hold'em poker with the Shayna Baszler, Queen of Spades, playing cards. What do we got here, man? Tessa Blanchard. Tessa is forever. Collective pin exclusive only to Pro Wrestling Crate, man. Tessa Blanchard is a fucking beast. Impact Wrestling's got her. Good on them. What do we got here, man? We got sunglasses. I don't know who the sunglasses are for, but oh, these are some for Miss Dashwood. Yeah, look at me. Man, these fucking feel good. I might wear these to the fucking beach. There you go, man. Miss Candice LeRae, Micro Brawlers. Yeah, now we just need one with Johnny. Look at that, man. Miss LeRae, right there. She's going right next to Hawk and Animal in Legion of Doom. There you go. What do we got here, man? What do we got here? Luna Vachon in the ring with Luna Vachon. High Spots Wrestling Network presents In the Ring with Luna. There you go. There you go. I probably won't watch it, but it's in the box, and it's there. What do we got here? Who is this? Barbie? Is this Barbie Blank? What am I going to do with this shit? Yeah, man. There you go. What do you want me to do with that? Where am I going to hang that? What am I going to do with that, really? Anyway. We got one more here, man. We got an autograph. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Drum roll, please. Let's see who it is. Oh my God, dude. Oh, fucking Christ. Jesus Christ. What am I going to do with this? Really? What am I going to do with this? Are you fucking kidding me? I think that's one of the worst autographs that I've ever gotten, man, from Pro Wrestling Crate. But I like the shirts. And the glasses are pretty cool, too, you know? Here's what it is, man. ProWrestlingCrate.com. And if you guys want to enter the coupon code off the script, you're going to save 20% off. Stuff like you've seen here today. Thank you to them. I love them. Barbershop Window is affiliated with Pro Wrestling Tees and Pro Wrestling Crate. So thank you guys so very much for all of that. Once again, it's ProWrestlingCrate.com/nothing. Just ProWrestlingCrate.com. You're going to use off the script as your coupon code. Awesome. Let's get into the news, man. Triple H and his major announcement, the launch of NXT UK. Being that it has the NXT name associated with it, I'm expecting major things, man. This is breaking news. Triple H promised a big announcement this week, and he delivered at the UK show at Royal Albert Hall, which are taping today and tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday. When you guys see this, it'll be Tuesday, so it'll be over by Wednesday. But Triple H promised a big announcement this week, and he delivered at the UK show at Royal Albert Hall to the delight of fans in attendance. Triple H and Johnny Saint announced that WWE is launching a new brand. NXT UK will be taping television later this year across the country. He announced that there will be a women's and tag team division. The first set of tapings will take place on July 28 and 29 in Cambridge. Another set of tapings are set for August 25th and August 26th in Birmingham. That will be followed by tapings on October 13th and 14th in Plymouth. They will close out 2018 with tapings in November 24 and 25 in Liverpool. There was no mention of a TV network, but they obviously have something locked in or close to being signed with someone. The idea of a weekly TV show for the UK has been discussed at least for a couple of years. The idea that was floated around was to air the UK show on traditional television while the rest of the world would watch on the WWE network. We will see if they stick to that plan. Triple H tweeted out, and I quote, "We have begun the WWE UK CT from the Royal Albert Hall. This is can't miss." And then UK division announced, business just picked up at Royal Albert Hall. Then WWE even has a Twitter account affiliated with WWE UK. NXT UK, a new UK series featuring the greatest competitors from the UK and Ireland. The UK Championship title plus 2 new championships. The UK Women's Championship title and the UK Tag Team Championship titles will be on the line. This is amazing news, man. Amazing news. Anytime you can expand on what is so great with NXT right now, to get an influx of new talent in that area of the world, this is beginning Triple H's takeover, man. This is beginning Triple H's monopolization of regions right now for the world of professional wrestling, and it's starting with NXT UK. I know WWE was wanting to get something out to compete with that world of sport that's going on right now in Europe with the British wrestling scene. I think this is going to put a huge damper on whatever World of Sport was planning on doing. This is great. I can't wait for this shit, man. I can't wait for the tapings that we're going to see at Royal Albert Hall. It's almost as if it's a takeover-like feel with the amount of talent and the matches that they signed for that show. And I can't wait to see how this tournament and this entire show unfolds, man. This is great shit. This is exciting stuff. And I can't wait to just dive into it. The more talent that I don't know, the better, man. I love NXT for one reason and one reason only. Not only is it a promotion that I see as being damn near perfect in everything that they do. It's not only a promotion that, you know, when I look at it, I say to myself, that's exactly how I would book it. But the best thing about something like NXT and now NXT UK is to see new talent that you've never seen before. To see new talent and be introduced to this talent and watch them grow under a WWE banner like NXT. Now, when they get to the main roster, that's a completely different story. But it is so great to see someone, take whatever skills they acquired somewhere else and be molded into the next big thing in WWE under the tutelage of Triple H and William Regal and everybody that's on his team. It's going to be a great deal, man. I can't wait to see this NXT UK thing, and I am very much looking forward not only to what's happening at Royal Albert Hall, but for the rest of the year. I will be all over that. More content means more content for you on the channel. It's going to be some great shit, man. NXT UK, major announcement that you guys will hear officially next week during the tapings at Royal Albert Hall. Unfortunate here. We just talked about what happened at Money in the Bank and how Charles Robinson and whatever he was talking about with Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal was completely idiotic. That the fans did not need to be blasted on social media. If you go to sit in that arena, you get to say and do whatever you want to the performers. You can say whatever you want. Chant to your heart desires. Now, I would be where Charles Robinson is with that tweet if the fans were rowdy and they assaulted performers and they threw shit in the ring and, crossed that line in which they were not supposed to cross. They were good. They did what they did, and they were a regular wrestling crowd that just voiced their displeasure with something that nobody really cares for. And they let WWE have it. This is a completely different story. Paige was assaulted by a fan after WWE Money in the Bank. Now, one reader had sent into a few dirt sheets that Paige was pie-faced by a fan during her exit from the arena during Money in the Bank. Now, it happened while Paige was in the passenger seat of a rental car with the window rolled down while she was leaving the arena. She was saying goodbye to fans, and that is when a male fan yelled at her to lose weight. Now, you really can't blame him. I mean, it's disrespectful. Yes, it's disrespectful. But he didn't do anything at that point. So if he wants to be a dick, it's on him for being a dick. He didn't cross the line. He didn't assault her. He didn't put his hands on her. And then he crosses that line in which you really shouldn't cross. That same fan put his hand on her face. Again, Paige says she was pie-faced, and a witness tells us that it looked more like a slap. Either way, whoever this person is a fucking asshole, and WWE hopefully reprimanded him to the highest extent for putting hands on their talent. More like a ban from future events in that city, as long as they are in that city. Someone confronted the fan, but nobody knows if police intervened. Now, Paige did try to put out a positive tweet or a positive picture on Instagram. She said, and I quote, "To the fan that decided to pie-face me through my car window and then tell me to lose some weight, Paige, you inspired me to keep being myself and eat whatever the fuck I want. Good luck with your karma." So this fan was completely out of line. This is something that I would say in a tweet or an Instagram post, some fans, because one guy's fucking rude behavior and asshole-like ways, you shouldn't blame the entire crowd for what was a very great atmosphere in Chicago. This guy is a fucking asshole. This is a guy that you blast on social media for his behavior. This is a guy crossing the line. This is a disrespectful fan. Not the fans during Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal. This is. I don't ever want to see anybody go to that limit and that extent to put their hands on a performer. I'm pretty sure that Paige could have probably kicked his ass too, if she wanted. But this guy's an asshole, and hopefully WWE intervenes and does what's right and bans this guy from all future events from here on out. Sad to hear that, but Paige was assaulted by a fan after Money in the Bank. Speaking of Money in the Bank, Vince McMahon made late changes to Money in the Bank on Sunday night. The old saying in WWE is that plans change because you never know when Vince McMahon will decide on switching up or finishing the card off. You know, you're normally on a weekly basis leading up to a pay-per-view show. Well, that is exactly what happened on Sunday. At one point, According to PW Insider, the plan was for Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship to close the show, which I reported as being merely a rumor on Off the Script during Saturday's show. Now, the plan was that, indeed, everything that was planned for the body of that match was exactly the same and what was supposed to happen. But WWE wanted, at least earlier at some point, to have Alexa Bliss celebrating with her newly won title be the last thing that people see as they went off the air. At some point during the weekend, McMahon decided that the men's Money in the Bank ladder match would go on last. In other news, John Gaburick, who was recently with Impact Wrestling, who is apparently back with the company, backstage at Money in the Bank. He also did some production work for the Greatest Royal Rumble. At one point, according to PW Insider, there was a pitch to include Ellsworth in the Greatest Royal Rumble show in Saudi Arabia before he even made his return at Money in the Bank on Sunday night. At this point, we do not know yet if Ellsworth is back full-time or if it's just for the short term right now for Carmella. Now, the way Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax performed at Money in the Bank, this is well before we even went into the pay-per-view. If you would have asked me before the pay-per-view happened, do I see that match main eventing? No. And I didn't want it to main event because of Ronda Rousey's name recognition. I didn't want that. Now, after the fact, with the performance that Ronda Rousey gave and the great match that Nia Jax and Ronda had, and with the cash-in with Alexa, after the fact, really didn't seem that bad of an idea. But even at that point, it might be a stretch. You know, the Money in the Bank men's briefcase is what we're going to be leading into going into SummerSlam. That's going to be the big storyline, the major storyline going into SummerSlam on Monday Night Raw now with Braun Strowman having the briefcase. So Vince McMahon probably ended up making the right decision by having the men's ladder match go on last. But I could certainly see why, with what we were given, why if he wanted to make that match main event, what happened was clearly main event worthy. With Ronda's performance and then the big cash-in, sending the crowd home happy with Alexa Bliss cashing in the briefcase and becoming a 5-time women's champion in WWE. But I think Vince McMahon made the right decision, believe it or not, with having the men and the ladder match close the show. As far as John Gaburick goes, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do with the company. I don't know what he's going to be doing as far as, agent-wise. Maybe he might be a producer for some matches here on out. I don't know. It can't be any worse than what we got right now with who they have backstage working as producers. So John Gaburick apparently is back with the WWE in some capacity after working with Impact Wrestling for the last several years. We had Jonathan Coachman. Jonathan Coachman was a subject of discussion on social media during Money in the Bank. And Brian Alvarez went as far as to say Jonathan Coachman is the worst commentator in wrestling history. That's all he tweeted out. Brian Alvarez said, and I quote, "Coach is the worst commentator in wrestling history." Hashtag Money in the Bank. This got over 2,300 likes on social media during Money in the Bank. He tweeted that at 10:29 p.m. It's no secret that WWE announcer Jonathan Coachman is not a fan of certain wrestling news sites. He has taken the time to rip on Dave Meltzer in the past, and he had some words for the Wrestling Observer site on Sunday night when a fan pointed out that Brian Alvarez had some harsh words about his commentary. During the pay-per-view, Coachman must have said something to prompt Alvarez to say, "Coach is the worst commentator in wrestling history." Hashtag Money in the Bank. So Coach picked up on this, and he tweeted out at 11:53 p.m., this was a good half an hour after the show was over. He says, and I quote, "Literally, no one in the actual business talks to the Observer. They hate me because I have always called them out on their lack of being accurate on anything. It's no sweat. They have to write something." Well, that goes to show you how Jonathan Coachman is a complete corporate shill. All I will say is this. Coach is not that good. The only reason why I said Coach was good for the first 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks was because after hearing Booker T's fucking nauseating commentary, Coachman sounded like a breath of fresh air. I said the same thing about JBL when he came back after a long hiatus to be put on SmackDown's commentary team alongside Mauro Ranallo. He was a breath of fresh air because he was something different. And he added a new voice and a new take and a new, I guess, life behind the microphone on SmackDown Live. You know how he eventually ended up? He became just as nauseating. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Coachman. Wasn't it Dave Meltzer who was on a conference call with Triple H prior to NXT TakeOver during last week? So how is nobody within the business, let alone your company, mingling with Dave Meltzer? Correct me if I'm wrong again, Jonathan Coachman. Wasn't Dave Meltzer in the Andre the Giant documentary on HBO? Wasn't he in there and had several different takes on the legacy of Andre the Giant, yet nobody mingles or interacts with Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer? So is Coach full of shit? Or is Coach really just another corporate shill by WWE to get out the initiative of nobody reads the dirt sheets, they don't know shit? Coach's reply is just as bad as, well, if you don't like it, don't watch. Or the WWE is making all this money, they don't have to listen to the fans. Or I don't see anything wrong with the product. Roman Reigns and the hard work that he put into the main event of WrestleMania is all that he needs to get another shot. These are the things that Jonathan Coachman has outwardly said to the public on social media. And I'm supposed to believe this guy when he says nobody reads the Observer? Nobody in the business talks the Observer? Your boss just talked to the Observer. Vince McMahon has regularly talked to Dave Meltzer over the years. NXT TakeOver, like I said, seen Dave Meltzer on a conference call with your boss, Triple H. Triple H even praised Meltzer for his knowledge, and he shared the Andre the Giant documentary that aired on HBO with Dave Meltzer. I don't know what else to tell you about Jonathan Coachman. I think Jonathan Coachman is a grade A goon. I don't know, man. Guys like that, the shit that they gave up to be in the position that they're in, man, they have no shame. They have no morals. Now, I understand being a company guy, but a company guy like that, who just doesn't see anything wrong with the company whatsoever, if you have nothing good or logical to say, don't say anything. Don't even acknowledge the fucking tweet from Alvarez. Why are you getting into arguments with people who are tweeting you what he said, and then you have to fucking roast him back? What type of professionalism is that? Stupid. And then he wants to tweet, and he has no logic behind his tweets. I just fucking roasted him. Here. I showed you how much of an idiot he really is. Nobody mingles or talks to the Observer. Look at the fucking people in your company who do it right now. What a dumbass. That wasn't it. Jim Cornette chimed in on this. Jim Cornette shoots down Jonathan Coachman's complete lie about Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. Jonathan Coachman's comments about the Wrestling Observer drew some criticism on Twitter. It wasn't because he was refuting Brian Alvarez's opinion about Coach being the worst wrestling announcer, but because Coach decided that he would throw in the line about no one in the actual business talks to the Observer. It was ridiculous to say, since you can go back and dig up hundreds of interviews that Dave Meltzer has conducted for bios and his radio shows. Furthermore, many wrestlers have admitted to being subscribers of the Wrestling Observer, and Jim Cornette is one of them. Dave Meltzer has been on Jim Ross's podcast. Jim Ross has outwardly said that he's been a subscriber to the Wrestling Observer for decades. Yet nobody mingles with the Wrestling Observer and Dave Meltzer, according to Jonathan Coachman. Cornette chimed in with this on Twitter. He says, and I quote, "Wrestling Lesson 101, when you say something that is not only a complete lie, but it's verifiable easily as such, and unnecessary to tell. It kills your credibility for when you want to work with people and make them believe you. Example below. And he quotes Jonathan Coachman's tweet. Several fans on Twitter were quick to point out Coach that plenty of wrestlers have openly discussed talking to Dave Meltzer. Furthermore, Meltzer is regularly on the NXT Takeover conference calls and seems to be on very good terms with Triple H. So, Jonathan Coachman takes a big, fat, steaming L. Why don't you go join Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal on the sidelines and soak on that L for a little bit? Maybe you can have Charles Robinson bring you a nice, cold, refreshing beverage as you guys sit there just soaking in your L's. What a fucking dumbass. Jonathan Coachman proves to be a fucking goon and a fucking clown as the weeks go on. Why he even came back now and why they put him in the position where he is, he makes himself look like a fucking imbecile. Even Corey Graves makes him look like a fucking idiot when he can behind the microphone on Monday Night Raw. He certainly did that at Money in the Bank with something that Coach said. I don't know what the fuck he said, but Corey Graves said, Coach, that had to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody ever say. And I don't think that was a force-fed line by Vince McMahon either. Fucking stupid. Moving on here, man. We have more news on WWE. WWE 2K19 officially announces their cover poster boy. The 2K franchise did wonders for WWE's video game presence. Each year, the 2K team seems to add an extra coat of polish to the game and its presentation, making the superstars jump off the screen, and the mechanics don't seem to improve whatsoever. But a lot of what sells a video game is who's on the cover, and it looks like they're finally ready to announce who got the honor this year. Pro Wrestling Sheet reported over the weekend that AJ Styles would be on the cover of this year's game, and it looks like that's exactly what has happened. It was also reported that Ronda Rousey will be a special pre-order downloadable character, but that piece of information is still yet to be confirmed or denied at this point. But we know who's going to be on the cover, and it's a phenomenal choice, if I must say so. Here, AJ Styles will join a long line of main event superstars such as John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, who have all been featured on the cover of a WWE 2K video game. It also has to be a pretty cool honor for someone who likes to game like AJ Styles. And it's great to show his kids, man, who I'm assuming, when they're old enough or if they're old enough now, are gamers themselves, and to see their father grace the cover of a video game that they might regularly play. It's got to be a cool fucking thing, man, to go into school and say, look, my dad's on the cover of WWE 2K19. It's great for AJ Styles. It's just a deserving honor for someone who definitely deserves it, but I will say this. All this hype and all these nerds and all these fucking geeks talking about the cover of a video game, it may be important to have a great cover star and a marketable cover star to sell the game. That's not what I look for. It may be important to the fucking younger demographic, but for someone like me who wants to fucking dive into a simulation, a real wrestling simulation video game that is highly polished, that looks great, that moves and feels like a fucking video game and a great fucking take on professional wrestling instead of moving like fucking quicksand. These games are the same thing every single year. It doesn't matter who's on the cover, if you ask me. You could put a fucking poop emoji on the cover and put WWE 2K19 on the cover, as long as the game is presented in a way that is much better than the years previous. These games have gotten worse. My career, if you played my career for 2K18, was fucking terrible. There's no voice acting. The scripting of the characters in the game is fucking horrendous. It looked like it was done in an afternoon. The way the characters move, integrating them into the backstage area, the way these characters move in the middle of a match, it is terrible. The engine is terrible. The online game experience is terrible. The glitches that happen. You can put every character ever known to wrestling ever, every arena. You could fucking hype up to create a character suite all you want. The game mechanics itself is the one thing that needs to change, and if you don't change that, you are not going to have a good game. I don't know what it is with these people. Why haven't we seen anything regarding this game yet? This game, 2K18, was dead in February. Now you got 2K19 coming out, and we just passed E3. You're announcing the cover star now, and you're doing the same thing that you did every other year. You generate hype for your game through cover stars and DLC and pre-order characters. Meanwhile, we see no physical gameplay. It's going to be August. It's going to be SummerSlam. And the only ones who will have seen the game are the fucking schmucks that you invite to the pre-show event or the big event that they have in New York City every SummerSlam weekend. And everybody there isn't going to give you a real interpretation of the fucking game. They're going to be like, oh, this game is great. Oh, this is different. Oh, this is exciting. Oh, let me get my chapstick so I can continue to suck more cock. Meanwhile, nothing has really changed. They're just there to blab, 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 blah, blah, blah. And everybody's having a good time and they're drinking and this and that. How could you be excited about a game that doesn't change anything from the years previous? How could you be excited for a game that we just had E3, the biggest video game convention in the United States? How could you go to E3 and not have anything to present anybody at E3? Yet you're worried about unveiling a cover superstar with no fucking gameplay. Resident Evil 2 is remaking the entire fucking game, and that ain't out till January. We seen a good 25-minute demo for fucking Resident Evil 2. People were uploading walkthroughs of Resident Evil 2 on YouTube. Yet we don't have one fucking spec. We don't have one mode, one match, one character outside of AJ Styles, one new gameplay mechanic. You can't show us anything at E3? Yet everybody's going to be all over this fucking game with no physical fucking gameplay anywhere to be found. What does that say about the fucking brainwashed masses hyping themselves up for a fucking video game that is ultimately going to fail anyway? Will I buy it? Probably, because it's like WWE and everything we talk about here. There's hopes of it getting better. You want to be there and you want to have it in hopes that it gets better. But when we get it, it's just like watching an episode of Monday Night Raw. It ends up being a fucking disaster in the end. And I sell it back to GameStop, or I just fucking keep it in my desk and have it collect dust until the next one fucking comes out. So as far as I'm concerned, 2K is a terrible partner for WWE games. This franchise needs to be put in the hands of somebody who is actually going to fucking make the appropriate changes to make the game fucking great. We deserve a great wrestling game. What is the only thing that changes year in and year out with these fucking games? It's the names and faces on the roster. There's nothing else that changes. So what are you really buying? You trade in the old game, you get the new game at like $30, $40 at GameStop. You're wasting your money. Yet everybody's excited about it. You know when I'll be excited about it? When the game actually fucking is in the hands of a new developer. A WWE game has not seen anything of a great rating from the community since, I don't know, my favorite game of all time is WWF No Mercy for the Nintendo 64. That's the way a wrestling game should move. You look at the way the characters move in these games, they move like fucking blocks. It is so fucking stiff. They move so slow. Nothing is fluid whatsoever. They don't move like their lifelike counterparts on TV. It's a fucking joke. And here I am spending fucking 10 minutes complaining about a fucking video game that I'll probably end up killing after 3 months. Cover star, great for AJ Styles. What does that mean for you? It means jack shit. If you're gonna jerk off and get excited over fucking AJ Styles being a cover star, you may need some new life priorities, my friend. When you see physical gameplay and you can report that the game actually is changing this year, mechanics-wise, then come talk to me. Until then, I don't give a fuck if AJ AJ Lee, the fucking poop emoji. I don't give a fuck who is on the cover. As long as the game is presented in a different light and better than what we've gotten in the last 3 years. Until then, shut your fucking mouth. Moving on here, man. We got more news. We got more news on Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose might be making his WWE return sooner rather than later. According to sources, Dean Ambrose right now is at the WWE Performance Center. We don't know why he's there, but he may be doing some physical training. He may be, visiting a doctor or two down there to get some prognosis. He may be just getting rid of some ring rust. For all we know, Dean Ambrose is ready to come back. This is around the timetable that Dean Ambrose was about ready to come back anyway. If you guys recall, Seth Rollins was asked many, many months ago when we could see Dean Ambrose come back to WWE, and this is about the time frame that he gave, right before SummerSlam. Before you know it, we're going to be in SummerSlam full swing mode. So if I was to make a logical guess here, Dean Ambrose, I would say we see him after Extreme Rules. I definitely will see him before SummerSlam. Definitely. I think he's ready to come back. And hopefully he does come back under a new persona or a new gimmick or a new attitude. Something's got to be different about Dean Ambrose. I don't want to see the Dean Ambrose that we got before he was injured. Because that Dean Ambrose was fucking boring. We need a new, refreshed Dean Ambrose. And this time away is probably what Dean Ambrose really needed. Because he was overworking himself to a point where I don't think he was even human at a point. He was just overworking himself. He was the Cal Ripken Jr. of WWE. The guy worked more matches than any superstar on that roster in 2016 and 2017. Every live show, never missed a fucking event. And I understand why they do that. It's because they feel like if they step away or if they bring up an injury and they take time off television that they're not going to, be back where they were. They feel like they're going to lose their spot. I don't think Dean Ambrose has anything to worry about. So if you look at it from Dean Ambrose's point of view, if you're looking at it even from a fan's point of view, this may be a good thing for Dean Ambrose. It not only gets him off TV to recharge his batteries, but Dean Ambrose is in a position where if he comes back, he's not going to be one of those guys that's going to need to work all that hard to get right back to where he was. Dean Ambrose is going to be positioned at the top of the fucking card on Monday Night Raw. So this is a good thing that he's home and he gets to spend time recuperating and resting his body and becoming refreshed and, seeing his wife, living a life. He'll be right back to where he started when he comes back. According to wrestling news source, Body Slam has revealed that Ambrose could be returning to WWE as a heel rather than a face he's been playing since the days of the Shield. They also added that backstage officials are hoping that this is the case, along with the possibility of him entering a feud for the Universal Championship. Depends on what happens with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I guess we'll talk about more of that on episode 227 of Off the Script this coming Friday. Now, the second scenario seems to be a little bit more plausible. With Brock Lesnar rumored to drop the title at SummerSlam in August and leave the company, it opens up the doors for other talented superstars to finally enter the title picture. It's why the likes of Rollins have been discussed already outside of Strowman and Roman Reigns. A heel turn shouldn't be out of the question too, and not just because Ambrose did some of his best work on the independent scene as a deranged heel, which increased his stock heading into WWE. Before his injury, speculation suggested that the Shield reunion was leading up to another heel turn, and that would have been great for Ambrose to be the one to turn his back on Reigns and Rollins. That might have actually benefited Reigns, if you really look at it, but that's not what ended up. Ambrose was injured, and he decided to take time away and heal his injuries. That would have been great leading into to not only SummerSlam. I wish that would be the case this time around. That would have been a great lead into WrestleMania. It would have gave Rollins, and Ambrose a great WrestleMania match that made sense. That was what I was expecting for WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens when he comes back. I think he should definitely come back as a deranged heel on Monday Night Raw. Just present him in a different way and not the same way that we were so used to back before he got injured. Before his injury, speculation suggested that the Shield reunion was leading to another heel turn. Rather than Rollins pulling the plug again, it was said that Ambrose was going to be the one to turn heel, and it would lead to a WrestleMania 34 match against Rollins, who would be playing the face. That is a feud that could still happen with the very same outcome, But Ambrose is bound to receive a fantastic face reaction when he does indeed make his initial comeback. Considering Rollins is one of the most over stars in the company right now, it would make perfect sense to target Rollins first. I like that idea, man. Now, the way things are going with Braun Strowman winning the Money in the Bank, it looks like that they might be setting up Reigns finally slaying the Beast, and then Braun Strowman sending the crowd home happy in New York at SummerSlam. We'll see what happens tonight. Anything can happen, but it looks like they're setting up Braun Strowman for the Universal title because they wouldn't have given him the Money in the Bank briefcase if they didn't have plans of that happening. And I don't see Braun Strowman failing a cash-in for a Money in the Bank cash-in. Now, with Rollins, it doesn't look like he's going to be in the Universal title picture, at least for the time being this summer. If Ambrose is going to be his ideal opponent, I would love to see that at SummerSlam, and that would set up what we should have got at WrestleMania. Rollins, an over babyface against a huge heel in Ambrose. All you have to do is tell the story that Ambrose was betrayed. Rollins didn't follow up. He didn't care about him. He didn't check on him. He went on to have all the success without him, and he didn't even give a shit about what happened to his partner. The foundation is there. The storyline is there. It's in WWE's hands to write it and make it compelling. But that's what I would much rather see than whatever else they got with Rollins right now going into SummerSlam. What about Elias? What about Jason Jordan? You know? They might be on the outside looking in. They might be shit out of luck. With Ambrose coming back, I think it's more of an investment to get Ambrose over as a heel than pushing Elias further down the line till SummerSlam or bringing in a Jason Jordan. I think Rollins and Ambrose could have a blow-away match at SummerSlam, and I would love to see Ambrose just come back and be completely different, portrayed differently than when he was before he got hurt in the beginning of the year. WWE plans to stop New Japan Pro Wrestling from getting popular in the United States. How is Vince McMahon going to do that? Simple. According to sources, Vince will immediately look to dent New Japan's popularity and appeal, with its first big move being to take Kenny Omega away from them. Kenny Omega is currently under contract until January 31st, 2019, and has repeatedly stated that he won't sign anywhere else because with New Japan, he's guaranteed a top position in the organization and has creative freedom for his character. Despite that, Omega has been linked with a WWE switch for years, and talk increased last year when he continued to tease that he was going to be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. Brian Alvarez also recently discussed the chances of Omega signing with the WWE, stating that WWE could very well offer him big money to prize him away from their Japanese rivals. He said, and I quote, "A lot depends on how much Kenny Omega is committed to. Is he committed to stay through the Tokyo Dome and that's it? He'll entertain offers from WWE, which will have so much money that he'll go. Listen, I know that they're going to offer this guy big money, but I would be very, very surprised if they didn't offer enormous deals to Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks to take them away from New Japan Pro Wrestling." End quote. WWE has also started to reference Omega by name on their website to hype up the video game battle that we've seen with Omega and the Young Bucks versus the New Day, which was odd considering they removed all references last year when he was mentioned. Remember when Rollins mentioned who he wants in the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant, he mentioned Kenny Omega? And then they took that video down from their website? What about the cease and desist that the Young Bucks received from the WWE? Now WWE wants to be all chummy and rub shoulders with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, because they are pretty much putting it out in the air. They're putting it out in the universe that, hey guys, we got all this money. So when you're ready, we're going to come talk to you. We want you. But they're not going to outwardly come out and say that we want you. WWE even put Kenny Omega on the WWE networks in their Hidden Gems collection right before E3 finished up with the New Day. What does that tell you? Does that mean WWE have legitimate interest in taking Kenny Omega away from New Japan? Or are they now just highlighting the fact that this guy is mega popular all over the place and they want to ride his coattails for a little bit? You know, I don't know what it is. But WWE, you know, there was a report that we talked about on part 2 where Triple H is open to having New Japan versus WWE. He may be open to it, but I think it's all a PR move. You think Vince McMahon is open to having another promotion come in and battle his guys? Vince McMahon wants to kill anything that is not WWE. Give me a break. Triple H may be open to it because Triple H is more of an open-minded individual than Vince McMahon is. But when it comes down to it, Triple H is a part of WWE. WWE doesn't want anything to do with anybody else. They want to kill the business. They do not want to see it expand. The only thing WWE wants to see expand is WWE. Everything else, they either want to take or they want to kill it completely. I don't know if Omega's coming, man. I really don't. If I'm Kenny Omega right now, the way WWE television is, I stay far away from WWE. If New Japan is coming into the United States, Kenny Omega is going to be at the forefront of that. If he can make any more money with New Japan and continue doing what he's doing with the Young Bucks, who needs the WWE? Who needs it? Why go there and risk career suicide and put your career in the hands of Vince McMahon when ultimately you're not his guy, you're an outsider, you'll always be an outsider to him until you prove that you can measure up to everybody else in the WWE, even though he's done it tenfold over everybody else. Vince McMahon doesn't care. Vince McMahon is looking to kill, not create. So if Kenny Omega's coming to the WWE, he may have a very, very difficult time. But a lot of you have stated that he may not even come to the WWE. And it's not a right career move for him to come to WWE. It's all going to be very interesting when we get to February. And Omega has not signed a new contract with New Japan. Next year is going to be a huge moment for this industry. A moment that could fucking send shockwaves through the entire wrestling industry. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Omega and the Young Bucks. Chris Jericho not working All In or any other U.S. dates for another promotion out of respect for Vince McMahon. Jericho was asked to do All In. He said no. I quote, I got asked to do Strong Style Evolved in Long Beach. I said no. I got asked to do the Cow Palace. I said no. I got asked to do All In. I said no. I don't want to do that, says Chris Jericho, talking to Inside the Ropes. You see how many indie promoters have contacted me over the last 6 years? You guys have to understand, this is just not me. It's a calculated big money proposition. Big money for me, big money for the company doing it. I'm not going to work anywhere else unless you want to pay me 6 fucking figures. I am not bragging, but this is where we are at. This is McGregor-Mayweather type shit for me. I'm not saying I'm making $55 million like those guys, but what I'm doing, it's the most I've made for the least amount of matches in my entire career. So it's very calculated. Everything I do has to be very smart. Chris Jericho is no stranger to controversy and getting heat, but he still doesn't want to be on the chairman of the board, Vince McMahon's bad side. Y2J continued as he revealed he isn't working any indie dates in the U.S., the New Japan dates stateside, or even All In, out of respect for Vince McMahon. It's not a matter of just going out and doing indies. And like I said, I've always felt like the unwritten rule is I don't want to go into the States, Jericho explained. I felt that would be a real slap in the face of Vince. You know, if something ever went down with us, I probably would do a show in the States and we could probably fill the Cow Palace. Jericho and Kenny Omega rematch, or whatever it may be, All In. I'd love to be a part of that. But A, it's in Chicago, and B, at the risk of sounding like an asshole, I can't lower my value by working one of these shows. It's about picking my spots with the right guys at the right places for the overall contract I'm signing. End quote. As Jericho continues an amazing career, his name is going to be held in even higher regard for sure. But hopefully with all of his outside projects, cruise ships, Fozzy concerts, and reign as IWGP Intercontinental Champion, he'll be able to stay in good standing with WWE. It certainly sounds like he's keeping that in mind, which is a great thing for all parties involved. You can't blame Jericho, man. He's doing the right thing. That's a respectable man right there. And Jericho right now, he knows his years are winding down. And a lot of people have stated that he has done the best work recently with Omega and then Naito in his career. He has literally transformed himself yet again and is doing some of the best work of his career. And if Jericho is receiving that much of a high praise from people with the work that he's doing now at 47, 48, or however old he is, and he is the way he is, working as little as possible and receiving praise and receiving 5-star matches all over the place at this age, it's only going to benefit him. So he's taking this and working it as a smart business person, and you can't blame him at all for that. You can't blame him at all for that. He's going to maximize his profit on what he is doing now and what he thinks he is worth. And you know what? With what he's done so far this year, he's going to get whatever he commands. The only thing that I question is that when he's done with New Japan and he's no longer IWGP Intercontinental Champion, when he comes back to the WWE, how many of us are going to be disappointed in the WWE-ized Jericho that we're going to get compared to what we're getting in New Japan? If he cannot bring, which I know he can't because he can't be dropping F-bombs like he was with Naito, cutting promos on there on his opponent before he got to Dominion. You know? He can't be sitting in his fucking backyard talking to a turtle, cutting a promo on Naito saying that he's going to fucking fuck him up. Can't be doing that in WWE. But if Jericho was allowed to at least somewhat be a little bit more risque in WWE, like he was in New Japan, or has been in New Japan in his current run, that's the Jericho we want to see. I think if he is doing anything less than what we're getting now, we're not going to really be excited for Jericho's return. It's going to be one of those things where we're excited to see him 1 week, and it's going to grow stale after 3. Jericho coming back to the WWE at this point, I don't even want him to come back to the WWE because it's not going to be anything that we're going to get overly excited for. It's going to be something less than what we're getting now. And I never want anybody to go into a promotion or a company and be less than what we're getting now somewhere else. That's a fucking shitty thing to look at as a fan. So I don't know what's going to happen with Jericho. We'll see what happens. But if there's anybody that can transform himself and get himself over like he has, it's Chris Jericho. Ring of Honor. We'll end with this because it's 7:40 right now on Monday night. This will go up on Tuesday. I got to get ready for Monday Night Raw, unfortunately. Ring of Honor plans to run a show in Madison Square Garden. Ring of Honor has the ability to reach a lot of people thanks to the fact that they're owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. This reach of 233 stations means that Ring of Honor is a huge percentage of American homes, which is more than any other pro wrestling company not owned by Vince McMahon. Therefore, it would only stand to reason that they would step up their game and become an even bigger player on the world stage soon enough. Now, Ring of Honor apparently has intentions of running their first show at Madison Square Garden. Sinclair Broadcasting CEO Chris Ripley recently told the Baltimore Business Journal that Ring of Honor will run a show at MSG in 2019 when he was asked about the company's future projects. No more details are available at this point, but if they do pull this off, then it would be a huge deal for professional wrestling. The issue of expense has kept some companies away from Madison Square Garden events, but it looks like Ring of Honor is looking to do it. AAA also looks to be running a show at MSG in September as well, which is an interesting idea, seeing how the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that it would be the first time since the early 1960s that a promotion other than one owned by Vince McMahon or a McMahon ran a pro wrestling event inside the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Ripley also said Ring of Honor has been scaling up their production quality, and although they have some room to go, they are trying more aggressive tactics to get their product out there to all of Sinclair's stations. This is exactly what Ring of Honor needs to do to utilize the amazing influence at their fingertips thanks to their parent company. Ring of Honor's television show airs on Sinclair Broadcasting Media Empire so they can get plenty of exposure. If WWE is going to have any issue with this, then there may not be anything that they can do at this point. MSG wants to run wrestling events. If Ring of Honor can pull off MSG, it would be their first show in New York, but it would probably be the biggest to date and could usher in another landmark moment in pro wrestling history. Vince McMahon hasn't run Madison Square Garden for a live show since his deal with the Barclays Center. So, who is Vince McMahon to stop any pro wrestling from coming into Madison Square Garden? You haven't done anything outside of a house show or two during the year, during the holidays, during the summer months leading up to SummerSlam. That's all you've done. So if other promotions want to run Madison Square Garden, let them run Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden doesn't have to answer to Vince McMahon. You think Madison Square Garden is going to be a venue that ultimately is going to care about legacy after all these years? Vince McMahon hasn't run a fucking pay-per-view there in God knows how long. WrestleMania is coming to New York City, New Jersey next year. You think Madison Square Garden was offered Takeover? or anything of that nature? Hall of Fame? The fucking Hall of Fame not done at Madison Square Garden. How do you think the people who run MSG feel about that? No, but you want them to sit idly by while you run in the much less expensive Barclays Center. Madison Square Garden wants to run pro wrestling. So WWE's running pro wrestling in July at Madison Square Garden, July 7th. They got The Undertaker advertised on a big billboard in New York City, July 7th. WWE Live at Madison Square Garden. Might take more than The Undertaker to sway these people from not working with anybody else, Mr. McMahon. If Ring of Honor wants to work there, Sinclair Broadcasting probably has more money than Vince McMahon has at the moment, for sure. Sinclair Broadcasting has more money than WWE. If Sinclair Broadcasting is willing to go above and beyond to give Madison Square Garden whatever they want to run a wrestling show for Ring of Honor there, MSG is going to take it. So that all-in tease that they did when Ring of Honor came to the Hammerstein Ballroom, when Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks were talking about All-In 2 and a destination lined up for All-In 2 already. Could be Madison Square Garden. That wasn't so far out of the realm of possibility. I don't know how many seats Ring of Honor could sell, but if Ring of Honor is coming to Madison Square Garden, it could definitely open up a lot more eyes to their company. It could be a big business move that could pay off very well. And it would be great to attend a non-WWE event in Madison Square Garden. Can you imagine New Japan Pro Wrestling coming to Madison Square Garden? Vince McMahon is not worried about other wrestling promotions going into Madison Square Garden. Vince McMahon is worried that the wrestling industry is not going to be all eyes on WWE. That's his thing. He doesn't give a fuck if WWE doesn't run Madison Square Garden anymore. But Vince McMahon is not for the business. Vince McMahon is not for the wrestling industry. He wants to kill and stop anything that is professional wrestling that is not WWE. I hope Madison Square Garden says, fuck you, Vince. You've turned your back on us. We're going to run Ring of Honor because Sinclair is giving us a boatload of money and they're going to run the show. They want to run the show and we're going to give it to them. Too bad. You're shit out of luck. Continue running Barclays. So when WWE can't run Barclays anymore, what are they going to do? What are they going to do when they want to bring an event or pay-per-view to New York City? You know, SummerSlam ain't going to be in Barclays next year. This is the last year that SummerSlam is going to be in Barclays. They got Barclays next year for the Hall of Fame and NXT TakeOver during WrestleMania season. But what's going to happen after that? I don't know, man. I hope it happens. I'm always up for these big renaissance in the industry. Could be a great thing. Could be a great, exciting thing for wrestling fans. I hope it happens. Ring of Honor plans to run a show in Madison Square Garden. And Vince McMahon is just salty that all eyes are not on WWE. I'm getting out of here, man. Thank you guys so very much for everything. That's a lot of news today in a very rare edition of Off the Script on a Tuesday for part 3. Thank you guys so very much. Not sure what I'm going to do as far as NXT goes on Wednesday. I got a bunch of NXT news lined up, so I just may film an NXT video for you guys for Wednesday night, because I got news on Keith Lee, I got news on call-ups, I got news on Velveteen Dream, I got a bunch of news regarding what happened after TakeOver. So if you guys want to see that, because, you know, the TakeOver show usually has 2 pre-show matches that we usually see on the following week's NXT, and then we get a new set of tapings the following week. So right now we got TM61 versus War Raiders, and then we got we got Bianca Belair versus I think it was Dakota Kai. The matches, from what I heard, really weren't anything special. So if you guys want an NXT news video on Wednesday night instead, I could give you that. So let me know what you think down below. I did catch up on Lucha Underground. I did watch Season 4, Episode 1. We will talk about that on Friday. So we'll have Episode 1 and Episode 2 to talk about on Friday of Off the Script. So look forward to that, and then we'll hit Lucha Underground review every single week on Off the Script moving forward. But I don't want to put it in this video because I'm strapped for time right now, and I want to go over what I thought of the new temple and what I thought of Episode 1, and then we already have Episode 2 lined up with a huge show for the Lucha Underground Championship with Matanza going up against Pentagon Dark. So we'll talk about that. So it's going to be a big, nice talk session with Lucha Underground. So I'm excited to get into that and give you my thoughts on that. But thank you guys so very much, man. Hit that thumbs up. Follow me on Twitter at JDFROMNY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for notifications. If you missed anything on the channel already, check the annotation, the YouTube card that is in the top right corner of the video. The drop down will be there. 5 videos that you might have missed. Go and check them out. And I will see you guys for whatever else comes this week. We got Monday Night Raw. We got SmackDown Live. We got Money in the Bank that happened this weekend. Lots of stuff coming, man. So stick with the channel. More news to come. Thank you so much for everything. And I'll see you guys this week. And then I'll see you right back here for Off the Script on Friday for episode 226. I'll talk to you later.